This is where I was talking about when you do an actual composition in a journal. If you notice, you can see I've got some washi tape, right? And I just kind of labeled it. I've got one where it actually shows the ladybug from a different profile. Oftentimes when we draw a ladybug, we draw it from the top side so you can actually see some of the markings on there. Mine turned out a little bit more oval in shape. A lot of ladybugs that I see are a little more rounded. That's okay. That's how I drew mine. This is where I showed you where it talked about size, where you have something that's nice and big and then something that's a little further away. You can do a little composition, and this is where I drew that nice little box, and then I laid it out, and I just used my ruler so that it was nice and even, and then I put on some actual washi tape. And then remember when I was saying when you're doing a journal, sometimes you want to know what colors you use. So these are the different colors that I used when I was dealing with the colored pencils, and I just have that on there for my notes. Now if I were going to use watercolor, I could actually have a nice little spot where I could use watercolor as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to pick a page in our journal, and you can start right from the beginning if you want. I skipped a couple of pages to move into my actual journal just in case I want to do something else in here. I don't know. I just kind of, it doesn't have to be in this order. You can go in the back of the book, whatever you'd like, okay? But I'd like you to be able to find a nice clean spot, all right? And what we're going to do is we are going to work on a actual ladybug together. Okay, so I am going to pick for my pencil, you can pick whichever size pencil you want. In my mechanical pencils here, I'm going to kind of go with the one, and I think it is the number 5. It's just a nice heavy, you know, a nice weighted pencil. Sometimes if I go too narrow, too small of a lead, oftentimes I got kind of a heavy hand sometimes when I draw. So what that means is that I tend to push a little harder on my actual paper, and I don't really want to do that. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions at all of what we've kind of gone over? Lots of different things in there, right? Hopefully, can you feel like you're going to have enough in there to be able to start? There's other things that we didn't go over, but this is kind of the stuff. You can do just pencil if you want. You can do just pen if you want. You can do colored pencil, or you can do the watercolors. Whatever you would like in your journal. The paper is going to allow you to do that. So I want you to be as free as possible to be able to be inspired by this. So let's working on a actual ladybug. Now I'm going to, on my composition here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set my ladybug, because the last time I kind of did it right in the center. Position it where you want, knowing that one of your assignments is going to take the ladybug and change the different profile for it. Okay, you're going to either find one that it's actually flying, or maybe one that's coming at you, or maybe one that's on the back side, something of that nature that you're going to actually do a different profile of the actual ladybug. So to get started, we look for simple shapes in our ladybug. Okay, so if we look at our big ladybug here, we're going to do this kind of a profile. The first shape that you see is what? What shape does anybody see? Anybody want to answer? So I'm not just sitting here talking by myself. Anybody want to answer? Go ahead, Sadie. Yeah, you can see an oval. Sometimes ovals are kind of hard to get in, right? You can kind of see it kind of rounds out here, and then it kind of has this nice little rounded triangle here, and then here it even has more. So sometimes drawing an oval, you can get it to where it's elongated, kind of like what I did before. So to protect yourself from doing that, what you can do is you can take your pencil. Now I'm going to make mine, I probably should do a darker one just so you guys can see. I'm going to try a mark on here and see if you guys can see it. So I'm going to take my mechanical pencil. Usually I use the 5, well, it's actually 0.5. And I'm just going to kind of draw a circle. And I'm not worried too much if it's real circle. Okay, so I got a nice little circle here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this nice little arch. I'm getting myself an actual oval. So sometimes doing just a regular oval, you can make it really long and stretchy. I want to make mine a little fatter. So I'm going to start off with a circle, and then I'm going to take a nice gentle curve on the left side, okay? And then almost like you're making an eyeball sideways here. And then I'm going to make the kind of mirror image it on the right hand side, okay? Again, don't push real heavy on there. I'm going to probably be a little darker just because, and these pencils are all going to have about the same darkness just because they're all HB lead, but try not to push real hard so it actually stains your paper. You want to be able to erase some of these lines, okay? So now what I'm going to do is on the bottom side, I'm going to decide how round I want it, all right? So if I wanted it longer, I could actually make my curve way down here, and that's kind of how I did on my first one. But if I wanted it more round, then I'll kind of shorten it up a little bit, and I will join the two by coming together and kind of mocking this inner circle here, but it's just a little bit longer. Okay? Everybody doing okay? I forget in my drawing class here, many of you kind of keep your screens off. So I'm not quite used to that. In my other classes, I have quite a few of them that actually turn their microphones off. Okay, so now we're going to work on the actual head. And you can see that there is a space between the head. Right now, we're just going to make this arch here, okay? And this kind of flattens out. So I'm going to first flatten out this area. But if you look at it, there's a little bit of a curve that joins the left side of the ladybug to the right side. And we need that little bit of a curve to give us form, because otherwise if we go straight across, it's going to make our ladybug feel flat. And we really know that it has kind of a hump on the back, doesn't it? The wings, everybody's seen a ladybug in real life, right? Everybody knows what a ladybug looks like, right? So when you actually have a ladybug, you know that the beetle actually has this rounded back. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take this curve, and the curve is going to kind of be like a smile. So it's going to be similar to this. It's not going to curve upward. It's going to curve away from the head. So I'm just going to make this nice little smiley that joins the two sides together. Okay? And what that's going to do is that's going to help me to be able to form the back of the ladybug when I start actually working on the form of the ladybug and making it more look like it's 3D. Okay, everybody got that? Thumbs up. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect from this point to this point, and I'm going to do a nice little arch circle. Okay, it's just kind of an arch, a half circle here. And then a ladybug actually has this nice little snout that comes in. It kind of looks like a little circle. So it's just this nice little other layer up at the top. Okay, this nice little arch here. Everybody got that? Let me get you a little closer so I can get closer. I'm playing with my camera. Can everybody see that pretty well? Okay, at this point, if you wanted to, you could take your eraser either on the back side of your pencil, or you can take your nice little tube eraser. I like using my tube one. And you can erase some of these inside lines. That original circle that you made, you can kind of erase that out of there. Okay, and just get that out just so that you don't have all of these extra lines. So I'm going to erase the original circle that I had. And then I've got this nice outside silhouette of my ladybug. Okay, almost looks like a baby bottle at this point. I don't know, kind of does to me. Okay, so from here I'm going to look at the legs, and if I look at my ladybug, I have two legs, right? Everything's kind of mirror image. That means that if I stuck a mirror here, it would actually kind of have that same kind of profile on the other side. Insects have that, where it is pretty much the same on one side as it is the other side. Now I'm sure if you got a microscope out, there might be some differences there, But for the most part, from the visual eye, it's going to be as if you were to put a mirror right in the center of it. You are going to do what's called a mirror image on both sides. So we have some legs that are kind of up here by the head area. And then we have ones that are just on the body portion of it. And you can see where the actual elbows point down. I call those elbows, right? And then another set that is actually kind of halfway down the body, okay? So you don't want to put any way down here, right? You kind of want to keep them in the same facility that the actual ladybug is. So keep that out just so you can kind of see it. All right, so we're going to start at the top here and right at the about, close to where the head meets the actual body. The leg kind of comes out, and I'm just doing stick legs at this point. Okay? And you can make your legs in any direction that you want, but this is typically how it goes. And right now I'm just kind of making like a Z, actually. Okay? And then right where the head meets the body, on the body itself, I have a leg that kind of comes out. And you could kind of come down to the body if you want. Mine's going to kind of come out to the side here, and then it goes up. And I'm going to go on the angle, and then it's going to be a little bit longer than my first leg. Okay? Is it starting to look like a bug? Just by adding the legs in there, it kind of adds that, doesn't it? Okay, so then we're going to come down to the about the middle to the back, the back here. We're going to kind of bring this leg out, and this one kind of points downward. So I'm kind of going straight across. Again, I'm thinking mirror image, right? And I can just kind of straighten this out. There you go. Now it looks like a water bug. Has anybody had water bugs before? Seen the water bugs in their pool? Yeah? All right. Okay, so now we're getting this nice little image of our actual ladybug. Now we're going to look at our antennas. You have these nice little lines that come up in the front. Okay. And these are all just stick at this point. We're not really doing too much. You can also do those other antennas. They actually have a couple. If you look at the anatomy of the actual ladybug, almost kind of looks like a cat in a way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lightly start, marking in our ladybug designs. Now you do not have to have the spots in the exact same spot that the actual picture has. All right, so you can kind of move the spots around a little bit, but just so you know, typically, if you count the spots on a ladybug, they're pretty even. Again, it's kind of that mirror image. All right, so it starts off with one because the wing actually comes down here. So if I take my back side and I see where my nose is on my actual ladybug, I know that the back is roughly right in here. So if I the middle of it, if I kind of draw just a really faint line, it gives me that mirror edge. Okay, it kind of goes like this. So from there, there's going to be a spot that's really close to the top here. And it's kind of bigger because it goes on both sides of the wings. Now this back would open up and you would actually have a ladybug that flies, right? So the wing actually opens up here, okay? So that's what you're actually drawing right in this area, okay? And then you can add in some other ones. Now I'm just gonna kind of make circles and kind of ovals. You can kind of position yours. They're pretty close to the same side, all right? They're like I said before, it's kind of that mirror image. We're just kind of sketching those in. Now, when I come down the side here, I want my ovals or my circles to be a little bit squattier. And the reason I want that is because I'm trying to create the illusion that my ladybug has this rounded shape. And if I have my circle just be a regular circle, then you're going to be able to look at that and it's going to flatten out the ladybug. So you want it to look like it's getting smaller the further away it gets from you. Okay? So then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add another one on this side. I'm noticing I don't like where my originals, These ones are. So I am going to take my nice little eraser. I'm going to erase that because it feels a little too close up there. And you can do the same thing. And I'm just going to add in a nice circle. All right. How's everybody's ladybug look? Pretty good? Okay, so now at this point, what we're going to do is up at the top here, we're going to create some areas that we're going to keep kind of light. So we're going to act as if the light is hitting on top, okay, because the ladybug is crawling on the ground and the sunlight's coming down from the top side or any of the light. And so the upside here, the part that is closest to you, that's going to be the lightest color. So you really want to make sure that you kind of add in some nice little curves on the side here where your pencil is, just light ones. And you know that this area here is going to get darker as it gets closer to the belly. And then as you start coloring coming up, it's going to get lighter. Okay. Now up here on the ladybug's head area, right, it has these little whitish yellowish, they actually have a couple of different eyes. I didn't know that until I started really researching it. So you got these nice little areas here. You're going to, this is this area, okay, that is going to be kind of a yellowish white. And then right in that little hump area, you're going to also have a nice little circle. Almost looks like pig's snout now. Okay. And that's right up in that area here. All right. Everybody doing good? All right. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of separate where the head is. So remember how we joined the two? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and right where that leg comes in, I'm going to actually make this ladybug's body separate from the actual head itself. And as I color this, I will actually round this out a little bit more. So now I separated the two. Okay, at this point, I'm not going to erase anything. I could if I really wanted to, but at this point, that's about it. Now you have the actual skeleton or the actual form of a ladybug. So at this point, I'm going to use colored pencils. So I'm going to get my colored pencils out. Everybody do good? Everybody got a nice little ladybug there? Okay, does yours look a little bit fatter than mine? Or does it look kind of skinnier? What does yours look like? How many of yours looks a little bit skinnier than mine? Anybody's look skinnier by making it longer? No? How about fatter? Anybody make it rounder? Yeah? There you go. Here we go. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm starting off with black. Okay, and we're going to be coloring in the black areas. So I'm going to start at the head. Now remember, we want to have a lighter area up on the top part of the head where the actual light is reflecting. Okay, so be conscious of how much pressure you put down with your actual colored pencil. You want to leave. The nice thing about having textured paper is that when you leave some of the white space on there, it almost looks like there is a shine. Okay, and that's just by not applying a lot of pressure. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at is, you notice how it's kind of got this grayish tone. All right, this is where the light is hitting, and that's going to even hit where that actual on that first spot, and then you can also see on the back side. But you notice how this is where those lines were, where I drew the lines on the side. That's telling me that this area down here is darker, and as I get toward the top, it's going to get lighter, meaning I'm going to release the pressure of my actual colored pencil. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay, so it's all about the pressure here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to start up here in the black area. Whoa, somebody called me. Hold on. There we go. All right, nobody heard that, right? Okay, good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get my glasses on, because now we're looking at you know, I'm getting older. So I'm going to kind of outline where I'm going to do the black. And I know that around this area on the head. And you can do colored pencils or layer after layer. It's not one and done. Okay, if you've been in my art classes before, you know that I will always tell you that none of your artwork is ever one and done, right? Everybody's remember hearing me say that before, right? All right, so what I'm doing first is I'm just going to add in some colored pencil. And at first you're going to see some of that white coming through. I'm going around those white areas, those circles that I made for the eyes. Okay. You might need to, as you're working on your colored pencils, you may actually have to sharpen them as we work with it. Right now I'm doing kind of a lighter kind of black, and then I'll come back in and apply a little bit more pressure. As I come up toward the top of the head here, okay, I'm going to start using that arched kind of formation instead of going straight across. Remember, whenever we do any kind of drawing or we're doing any kind of coloring, you always want to go in the direction you want the viewer to think that this particular shape is, okay, the form. And by changing your actual direction of your pencil and making it more of an arch, it's going to give the illusion that this is a rounded object, and that's exactly what we want, okay? So just by changing the direction of your actual strokes of your pencil is going to help be able to tell the viewer, hey, this is a rounded object. This is a rounded form. This is not flat. Okay, that's very important whenever you are working with any kind of drawing, okay? So now it gets really dark right up here by the neck. That's not really a neck. If I looked at my actual, that's just what I'm calling it. And as it gets to the top here, that's where it's going to start getting a little lighter. So I'm going to have a little bit of a lighter black, and then I'm going to have a little bit of even lighter. It's going to get kind of a darker gray, if you will. And I'm just going over the top. Okay? Everybody got a nice little shine going on there? Yeah? Okay, so now we're going to do the same with this first dot on the back. Okay? That's the one we're going to work. I'm going to fill in all of the black areas first. Okay? And there's this kind of like circle that goes around. You can make your circle. Like I said, everybody's ladybug should probably look a little different. All right, and as it comes to the back side here, it's going to start getting lighter. So like I made mine a little too dark when I outlined it. It's going to be darker up here because this is not only rounding this way, but it's also rounding this way. Okay, so as we come up the back from the neck, this part of the circle is actually going to be, of the spot, is actually going to be lighter. Okay, so as it gets down to the bottom side, so when it gets close to the head, it's darker, but then as it comes up over the back, it gets lighter. Okay, see how we did that? Okay, so the same with our side ones. So as I'm doing this, it's going to be darker the closer it is to the bottom. And then it's going to get a little bit lighter shade as it comes up. That's how you're going to give the illusion of depth there. So I start from the bottom and I push kind of hard, and then I'm going to actually just fill in that circle with that lighter pressure. All right. And I'll do the same on the other side. It's kind of darker as I get toward the bottom. And then it gets lighter as I come to the top. All right, everybody doing okay? Everybody's quiet in there. Everybody got their tongue sticking out? Anybody stick their tongue out when they do any of their drawings? Yeah, I do. Okay, so now I'm going to do my, as we go down, remember, It's already here where my circles are, where my dots are, it's already kind of at the peak and it's starting to come back down the hill, okay? So there's like this, it goes up and it goes up like this, okay? So kind of thinking that through. This is going to be a little darker. It's not going to be as light as up here because maybe the light is coming down on this side. But it's not going to be as black either. It's going to be dark, but it's not going to be so dark. Okay, and then I do the same on this side. And I always start off kind of light, and then I make it a little darker as I go. You can always go darker. It's harder to go lighter, isn't it? How's everybody's ladybug looking? Is it starting to come to real life? Okay, so if I have the light coming down on this section here, like maybe the ladybug is here, instead of it coming straight down, maybe it's coming like on an angle like this, okay? Then I'm going to look at my back dots, and I'm going to be dark on the bottom side, kind of make these nice little smiles. And again, I'm going to go light, and then I'll get darker as it goes down. Okay? Everybody doing good? Thumbs up? I know y'all got your screens off except for 2 of you. So if anybody else can kind of put their little thing up. Oh, do I have somebody that's... I don't have my... bear with me. I don't have my chat on. Ah, Sophia says hers looks skinny. Sorry, I didn't have my chat section up. So mine looks skinnier too. My first one did. If you look at mine, and if you think of different kinds of beetles, they have different shapes, even a ladybug. Now, a ladybug actually has more of a rounded, most of them, but there are different styles and different kinds of ladybugs, okay? So just so you know, notice that down at the bottom of your ladybug too, like I want to make sure that everybody can see that the wings spread apart. So when I'm going to make on the bottom of mine back down here is right where that wingspan is. I am going to put in this nice little triangle, okay? And I'm going to actually take my black. Typically when you are blending colors with your colored pencil, you can use black to actually bring a shadow in there, or you can use its complement. And with red, using green on your red is actually going to be really nice, but I really want to give it some form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my actual colored pencil and I'm lightly, oh so lightly, remember those pencil marks we made? I'm kind of making this nice little rounded area, kind of parallel to the outside body shape. Not a lot, just enough. But just so then when I start coloring in my red, it will actually get darkened in there and I don't have to use as much of my red. Okay? Everybody good? Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is you could go through, we could go through since we have this, and you can kind of thicken out your legs, or you can wait for your legs till their end, okay? I'm just going to do the one up here just so you know it. If you look at the legs, they kind of get thick, just kind of like your arm, right? You have like up by your shoulder, your forearm here is, or your biceps, I guess that would be, is thicker typically than what your forearm is down here. It's going to be kind of the same thing, right? You don't want it too thick so it looks like he's, well, maybe you do, maybe